15 days. In my last video, I gave myself 15 days to make the game. And I'm happy to say I actually made it. This video is a follow-up devlog on my dots and boxes game. I already explained how the game works in the previous video, but this time I want to quickly show you the steps I broke the project into. Create the grid, make line clickable with turn switching logic, detect complete boxes, add scoring, refine everything and polish the game. These are the major steps I planned out for the game. If you just want to see the finished game, you can skip to the last section. But for the rest of you, here's my 15-day journey, unfiltered. So today I was kinda confused. I've watched enough tutorials to understand the basics, like how to add assets. But when I opened the editor, my brain was like, what now? But I needed to add assets before starting anything. So naturally, the first step was figuring out how to draw stuff. After some searching, I found about Krita. So I downloaded it. I had absolutely no idea how this tool worked, but when I opened it, it asked me to choose the pixel size. I just picked something. It opened the pencil tool by default. Since I only needed dots and straight lines, I didn't bother changing it. So I made a dot, a horizontal line and a vertical line, saved them as PNGs and added them to my assets folder. Next, I hard-coded the entire grid, which was just a simple 3x3 grid, and that took a lot of time. After that, I added a built-in script to the lines, and then I hit run, and the game crashed, like instantly. Turns out I forgot to save the script. I'm used to autosave. Today I spent time learning GTScript, Godot's built-in language. Since I already know basic programming, it was not that hard to pick up. Next, I made the lines clickable. Then I tried to change their color when clicked, but it didn't work. I spent almost 2 hours on this before realizing something very annoying. The modulate property doesn't actually change the color, it just tints it. So even though the color was changing, I couldn't see it because the sprite was basically transparent. So I remade the sprite in white and then changed their color through code. And finally it worked. After that, I added logic to switch turn between players. While testing, I noticed another problem. If I click the same line twice, it changed color again, which obviously should not happen. So I added a simple check to block clicks on already selected lines. Next, I started thinking about box detection. And that's when I realized something important. If I don't generate the grid automatically now, everything is going to be very messy later. So yeah, I undid the most of day 1 and rebuilt the grid properly using code. And it didn't work the first time, but I tweaked something and now it works. After that, I wanted to center the camera so the grid looks correct. I did spend some time on it, but I just couldn't figure it out. Today, I mostly worked on the camera. I wanted the camera to stay centered and zoom in or out depending on the grid size. Centering the camera was actually easy. I just had to calculate the center of the grid. But zooming was important because if the grid is large, it ends up looking like this, and that makes no sense. This part was kinda confusing. The zoom effect took me a while to understand, and when I thought it finally worked, I tested it again with another input and I don't even know what that is. Anyways, after some trial and error, I eventually got it working properly. After that, I started thinking about box detection. I did figure out how I want to check a box I made, but I didn't actually implement it today. Today, I spent most of my time working on box detection. It was not easy, but by the end of the day, I was able to detect when a box is created. Once a box is detected, it gets filled with the color of the player who completed it. I also added the rule that if a player completes a box, their turn does not switch. Up till this point, everything was working pretty smoothly. I was able to make good progress with the game. Today, I didn't go to college because I thought I'd work on this game, but I ended up only adding the player sprite, which was just a white circle. I was sad about it, but I decided I will not feel guilty about it. I did nothing today, not even rest. I was really sad because I wanted to do something, so I just forced myself to sleep. I positioned the player sprite and added the score and the player name. Because I made the camera move zoom in and out, everything kept shifting around. Once I figured out I needed a canvas layer, things started making more sense. But still, the positioning, which does not even look good, took me a lot of time. Today, I added the scoring system, and then my brain decided that ties shouldn't be possible, which makes absolutely no sense because ties are totally possible in this game, just not happen regularly. I don't know why. I spent some time thinking about how to avoid a tie and then realized that was pointless. After that, I started thinking about how to decide a winner. Today, I watched a bunch of tutorials on how to make a winner screen, but I didn't actually code anything. I was out today, so I didn't do anything. I was supposed to make the winner screen, something that shows the result and has a restart button. Turns out the US stuff was more confusing than the logic part. I watched a lot of tutorials and then I just gave up and left it for the day. Still nothing today. I had no motivation to do anything. I didn't even try. Today I was back into work mode. So I made a winner screen. The original plan was to add something like a leaderboard, but I ended up deciding on only showing the winner. I also added the home screen button and a retry up button. Today I worked on home screen. I added all the UI components, but for some reason the screen kept closing whenever I clicked any button. After some debugging, I figured out that both buttons were executing at the same time, which was more frustrating because the buttons on the winner screen were working perfectly fine. Then I made a temporary note and it worked there. Then I deleted the original signals, reconnected everything, and it worked. I still have no idea why it wasn't working before, but it works now. After that, I added a slider to choose the grid size. I also wanted to add another option for 2 to 4 players, but I couldn't figure that out. And finally, I downloaded the sound effects I was going to use. I connected the sound effects to the game and added a few details. I didn't do much today because I had an exam the next day, but the game was done. I had fun making the game, and I hope you had fun watching the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.